Hey, boys and girls. It's time for Uncle Jay Explains the News. Now here's the guy who helps little minds understand big news stories, Uncle Jay.
Hi, boys and girls. Well, Halloween's not for a few more weeks, but things out there right now are pretty scary. It was a pretty good summer, but things lately have collapsed, and it could be another year before we know if things are going to be any better. But enough about the Chicago Cubs. Uncle Jay's news word for this week is jitters. And we all know this feeling, don't we? It's kind of like when your mom sits down at the computer and you realize that you forgot to erase your browsing history. Banks are trying to erase their borrowing history, and last week they got their bailout bill. That's a bill made out to you and me. President Bush immediately said he would sign it because, boys and girls, he's just eager to finish up his presidency and move on to private life. I mean, how many times can you hear "Hail to the Chief" before you snap? Well, some other people with the jitters were Sarah Palin and Joe Biden. They had their big debate last week. Shows like My Name is Earl and The Office were preempted, but these two are pretty good substitutes. These debates, boys and girls, aren't really debates. They're more like Jerry Springer shows on tranquilizers and with better clothes. In fact, maybe Jerry Springer is the one who should be moderating these things.
Now, wait a minute, Uncle Jay. I do have my standards.
Well, one more person with the is O.J. Simpson. Boys and girls, you might not remember when he was on trial the first time in the mid-'90s. It was a very different time. The music was very daring and unique, and the movies were more intellectual and sophisticated. And the politics were very different. The president back then was getting his own missions accomplished. And now it's time to answer one of your news questions. This week it comes from Allison in Little Rock. Hi, Allison. Allison writes, Dear Uncle Jay, I totally do not understand this bailout bill. All those banks with billions of dollars in debt are going to be rescued by the government? The government is trillions of dollars in debt. How can they possibly help? Thanks, Allison. Well, you just need to remember that the government will never run out of money because they can always just take more from you and me. Or they can just print more. When the government prints more money, it's called inflation. When you or I do it, it's called counterfeiting. Anyway, the new plan will be implemented by adapting some existing commercial software for this very complex and important job. Let's hope it works. Don't forget, you can see more news questions and answers at Uncle Jay's website. Send your questions to Uncle Jay at UncleJayExplains.com. Check back every Monday when Uncle Jay explains the news. And remember,
Uncle Jay, a good kid is good news.